Hello everyone and welcome back to another Batman miniature game, 3rd edition Battle Report, and you can already see a little sneak peek of the crews down there. It is two large crews going at it today on what's probably going to be the last showing of this particular table setup, for this game at least. It's a 350 rep of a Year 1 themed Batman crew up against a pure Black Mask organised crime list. Finally able to field them after getting the cards printed. Thanks to my mother, so shout out to her because my printer is still very busted. Anyway, let's go into the specifics of the crews so we can get started. So here is the Batman crew taking to the field today, being led by the Year 1 Batman. However, you take him as your leader slot, but he has a role where you pick someone else to be the leader because this is early in his career, he's working from the shadows, the cops don't trust him, he's pure vigilante, so Year 1 Gordon, who is just a henchman, is going to be the leader. He has a neat rule called coordination, so he can get other cops to do actions for him. If he hasn't activated, he gets better defense. He's pretty neat, especially for his points. We're also bringing Year 1 Flass, who, with the exception of having a baseball bat, is identical to Bullock in terms of price and rules, which is a little bit interesting. He can also be an organised crime list because he's a crooked cop. So he's identical to Bullock, who is here as part of the cluster of cops from the Back to Gotham starter set. It's all of them: Merkel the detective, the one with the taser, and the one with the torch. The one with the torch has street patrol, so he'll be able to deploy out of deployment with undercover, I think. And he has a radio. The detective has an extra magazine, and Batman has the upgraded bat suit. Now this Batman does not have a bat armor. He doesn't have a grapple gun, which is also pretty bad, but he does have hidden. So he'll be deploying out in the middle of the field, and he has some special rules that work kind of similarly to the Arkham Knight's Vanish rule, which will be a bit interesting to see. So there was 8 models in the Batman crew, but there is 9 models in the Black Mask crew, and it is pure Black Mask. It's all the Black Mask releases, with the exception of Alexander Kusov, because you can only really fit in one of his lieutenants, and this time it's going to be Fright, because she seems quite interesting. I think Alexandra is probably better, but Fright seems interesting, and both of them, if they're in a crew where Black Mask is the leader, and of course he is, they create a little Inspire bubble of their own. So henchmen don't necessarily need to be close to Black Mask if they're near one of his lieutenants. So it's pretty interesting. Black Mask also replaces all the usual crit rules for his crew with Bleed 1 instead, and that's kind of tying into his unique objective cards, which require lots of bleeding. So there is henchmen, or Black Mask Thug is their names, 1 to 7 here, and then there's also the Fixer, which is the doctor at the back there. As for which one is which, I don't know, but the one with the sniper rifle at the back there has been given a silencer. The one cocking his pistol there in the middle has an extra magazine, and Black Mask has the psychotic upgrade to give him Protect Me. So here we are at deployment. The Batman crew has deployed to your left, although 3 of their 8 models have hidden, so we'll cover that in a second. Black Mask crew on your right, and it is the Black Mask crew who's taking first activation. So we have one of the cops down there in the corner of deployment. Over here is where all the hidden models decided to go, so we have the JCB detective, Bullock and Batman. We've got the sniper up there on the roof because he's relatively safe without grapple guns. We have a line of the massive Black Mask crew, and you can see who has Audacity as well. And then we have the remainder of the cops lined up as well, with Gordon touching the sewer grating there. And there is one Phase 2 card being played. It's by the Batman crew. It's their Unveiling the Truth, and it is being played on her, the GCPD Cop 1, I think, with the taser. So you put 2 stun markers on this if the... Oh, she doesn't have detective. Never mind, it has to be a free agent, sidekick, or detective. She's not a detective. In that case, it will need to be put on Flass, because he is detective. So we put on Flass then, and anytime he reveals a suspect marker, put 2 markers on this, and as long as it has more markers on it than suspect markers, it will instantly score. So a very simple activation to get the Black Mask crew's game started. The sniper, henchman, or thug up on the building here without Audacity just did a movement action to get outside of deployment so that he has eyes on all the things down there. And remember, because of the silencer upgrade he has, not that any of the cops have Acrobat anyway, but that negates the Acrobat rule. First activation for the Batman crew was the GCPD Cop with the taser. It's actually GCPD Cop 1. I called it... No, sorry, it's 2. I called it 1 earlier. Look, I'm just going to refer to her as the taser lady. She didn't have Audacity. She moved forwards behind the Batmobile for a little bit of cover as well. She used the free manipulate from starting next to Gordon, because remember, Gordon is the de facto leader of this crew, even though it's technically Batman, so he's the one with the Inspire range. And she put down a suspect marker, which is there for Flash to go tamper with on his activation. Black Mask Thug 7 activated, and it's easy to remember that he's Thug 7 because he was the bonus one thrown in with the Fixer, so he had to be the furthest number. So he is 7, he's armed with an assault red dot assault rifle, double blood. He had audacity, he started roughly there. He moved up onto here to get a nice little view on the JCPD cop, who I will not need to remember anymore, because from that angle and that height difference, she wasn't getting cover. So he shot, -1 modifier with assault, but not losing any dice. He got 2 of his 4 potential hits through for 4 blood, and she does only have 4 endurance, so she died for putting down that suspect marker. I hope it was worth it, because it also scored for Black Mask a message job. An enemy model is removed as a casualty. So it's 2 points on the board and $100 of black market money. Detective Flash activated from down where he was. Without audacity, he moved up to where the poor cop just died. He removed the suspect marker there to put 2 markers on unveiling the truth, and because Black Mask has no suspect markers down, it will immediately score for 2 as well. He has cover from the sniper, but not from the same henchman that just shot the cop, but on the plus side, he at least has a bulletproof vest to take a die away if it comes to that. From the clump of Black Mask goons down here, Black Mask Thug 1 activated. It's the one that's doing a Vega impersonation from Street Fighter. He went up the field next to the Batmobile, and using his free Inspire from Black Mask, put down his suspect marker. So there's less people over here with the impending threat of the Dark Knight around here. We're down next to the Triple X bar because JCPD Cop 1, the real Cop 1 this time, not the one I mistook as Cop 1, activated without audacity, but he had a radio. He moved up and, oh, he's actually supposed to have a suspect marker down. I'll put that down there in a second. But during his activation, Wait for Backup was played. This could be used to bring her back as well, but it's not. It's being used to score points instead. So he's got the cop trait. You choose a board edge, this edge. You roll 1d6 plus 1. He rolled a 5, unfortunately, so it's up to 6. You place it on his character card. I'm going to leave it there, though. You reduce it by 1 at the end of every subsequent model's activation. If, when it hits 0, he's still within that 4 inches of that board edge, and he's not KO or dead, you score the card for 2. Now, thankfully, because there are so many models in each crew, it's very unlikely he's going to be harassed by anybody. So that probably still will score despite being that high. The next Black Mask Thug to activate is the one with chains wrapped around his fists. It was next to Fright down here. And because he was next to Fright, remember, he benefits from Inspire as if he was close to Black Mask. He's quite fast as well. He's 10 inches. He didn't use it all. He used about 8 just to get there because he wanted a little bit of cover to obscure him. And using that free Inspired Manipulate, he put down... Well, they don't call it an Inspire. They just say they can do an extra Manipulate. But anyway, he put down a suspect marker. Lieutenant Gordon was next activated with the Batman crew. He's not a sergeant, even though he can have sergeant training. He's not a commissioner. He's just a little lieutenant. He activated, but he is also the boss. With audacity, he moved up his 8 inches to the car door. Then he used coordination, which is like a better version of order, kinda, which lets you do an action with someone within 8. He chose Flash. He ordered Flash, hey, do a thing. Flash put down his suspect marker, and he's a detective, so he can put it within 2, and it has become the game's first snitch, which is not in focus, but that's tradition at this point. I think it is now, though. So that's in play now, and I don't think anyone in Black Mask crew can get close enough to it, but we'll see. Fixer activated next, but without audacity. Close enough for Inspire from Black Mask, though. She moved up 10 inches. She couldn't quite find a position there to put down a suspect marker that was 4 inches away from there, but also 4 inches away from there, so she's just charging down the middle of the field. Officer Merkel activated and moved up without audacity, just to kind of cover Gordon right next to him there, but didn't do anything else with his turn. So the thug next to Black Mask that's on his mobile phone and carrying bolt cutters, he's actually FaceTiming with his mother. He's a good boy. Anyway, he activated without audacity. He moved up 10 inches next to the Vega wannabe and did nothing else with his turn because he couldn't put down a suspect marker, which is a shame because he's a handyman, so he has 2 manipulates anyway. So next it was Batman's time to activate and some shenanigans involving his rules. You'll notice he's no longer where he was. First of all, though, he used a rule he has, which is unique to him, called Vigilante's Work. You effort yourself, so you take 1 stun damage, to do a free manipulate, which he did to put down suspect marker. Well, it was adjacent to him because he started there, but he could, because he's a detective, he can put it within 2. Then he made use of a special rule for a special action called Bat Beacon, which are not allowed to use 2 turns in a row. You center an explosion over a friendly suspect marker, and enemies underneath it get scared and pushed. If he's underneath it though, much like the Vanish rule for the Arkham Knight, you get placed within 4 inches. Now, we've been playing this online a little bit prior to me getting these cards printed, and the way we play Bat Beacon is the same as the way we play Vanish, where we don't take height into consideration for the purposes of the placement. Now that might be wrong, but it certainly feels a lot cooler. So that's the way we play it. So from there, Big Bubble, he can be placed within 4 of his position. He was right there, and he still had a movement action and a tactical action because he efforted to do the manipulate. So he moved next to the sniper. He has sneak attack as well, so no efforts could be done. Now his attack roll was actually pretty bad. The strength die and 1 other die got through for 4, but this henchman only has 4 willpower, so he is knocked out. There's the one for doing the vigilante's work. He didn't score anything off of that, but that was a way to remove the sniper threat in a pretty cool way. He can't do Bat Beacon next turn though. Oh, and with the completion of Batman's turn as we go into the next activation, that means Wait for Backup has just scored. So the man himself, Black Mask, activated. He moves 8, and he did so up the street here. He has pretty decent guns, he has double blood guns, but he did move obviously, so that would mean losing some dice. So instead he made use of a special action he has called Mob. You pick a henchman within his Inspire range, and then they either do a ranged attack, or they do a 4-inch move and then a close combat attack. So he influenced the one with the assault rifle here to use the last of his ammo in 1 turn, because he's already shot, and it seems like he can do this, to shoot his assault rifle at Flass, still counting as having moved because he did move during his turn, but he's assault, so it's just -1. Lost the strength die to Flass's bulletproof vest, but got 3 hits through for 6 blood, and that is enough that Flass is not getting a chance to shine. He is dead, and that scored the only other one in the deck, the other message job for killing or making an enemy model casualty. So they're up to 200 funding as well with their black market money. The JCPD detective activated with Audacity. He tightly turned the corner. He's got 10 inches of movement, so he's pretty fast. That got him within 8 just to take some pot shots with his pistol at the Black Mask henchman that's on his phone. He got 2 hits through for 2 blood, 2 stun. So before we cover the next activation for the Black Mask crew, there is an addendum to what happened there. With him taking damage, trap card was played, pinched mobster. When a friendly model takes damage, place an event marker in contact with them, which it has been. Any model can manipulate it to move it 4 inches. If the marker's inside the organised crime deployment, it scores for a massive 3. So that's on the board for that. The actual activation was the Sledgehammer henchman who was down here that started next to Black Mask. He's still within 8 because of Black Mask's big base, so he did have a manipulate. He came round the corner down here. Over here, he used that manipulate to remove that suspect marker, which in turn, if we come over here, pull back a bit, is going to trigger a paying tribute. Play this card when a friendly model reveals an enemy suspect marker. That friendly model places a suspect marker within 4 inches of the boss. So this will score if that henchman places a suspect marker within 4 inches of Black Mask. It doesn't have to be this round, obviously, just in general. So Bullock was having none of that. He's also the last activation already for the Batman crew. He swung around the corner, he took shots with his pistol, although it's actually only 1 shot because he moved and fired. This henchman, he's only defense 2, but he is pretty sturdy endurance-wise. He's only got 4 willpower, but he has 6 endurance, so for a cheap henchman, that's pretty good. Well, the 1 bullet got through, though, for 1 blood, 1 stun. So there's 2 activations left for Black Mask's crew. We can just cover both of those right now. The Thug with the pistol that has the extra magazine activated there without Audacity, with Audacity, but he didn't use it. He swung back round here. He's going to go help out the Thug over there against Bullock. And then Fright, who moves a massive 12 inches, well 13 because she's an acrobat as well, I believe. She didn't need all of it though. She shot up here to touch the sewer grating and the suspect marker rather that was there. She removed her own suspect marker to turn it into viable commodities. So she's going to be holding on to the loot, and that will score at the end of the game if she still is, or if someone in the Black Mask crew is. So we're finally at the end of a quite long battle round 1, which is not surprising given the size of the crews here today. Although one has severely been reduced with 2 cops dying to Black Mask crew who are definitely taking control of the central area there. There's no Phase 4 cards being played, so we can just go over the ones in play. Organised Crime, Viable Commodity stays in play. The Pinched Mobster event marker stays in play, and so does Paying Tribute, because the henchman who can potentially score is still conscious and alive and whatnot. We come around this side of the table though, the Snitch will score. He's the closest enemy henchman and he's on his phone, so he's not paying attention. So the Snitch has scored for 3 points. And with that we can go into battle round 2. So here's how things are looking at the top of turn 2 with Audacity given out. Can't remember if I mentioned or not, but the Sniper did not wake up. It's very hard to roll under 4 on 2 dice. So he is still unconscious, although Batman doesn't have a rest, so he's just going to have to leave him there basically. There is a Phase 2 card being played by each crew. Oh, and it is the Batman crew taking first activation, incidentally, unless they pass, because they have lots of passes now. The Batman crew is playing another Unveiling the Truth. For lack of anyone better, it is being played on Gordon. I don't think it's going to score, but it will stay in play as long as he's in play. And then for the Black Mask crew, this is a pure just get rid of it. Pain and Money, which is Black Mask's card, which is really bad, because for the most part, Organised Crime's crews are going to have number advantage, and that makes this impossible to score. There are more enemy models that have blood damage on them than friendly models in the gaming area. So that would mean, because all of Black Mask's crew is alive, there would need to be 10 enemy miniatures with at least 1 blood damage on them in the field for this to score by the end of the turn. It's a terrible card the more you look at it. It's in play, it's been out of the hand. There we go. So Batman got battle round 2 started for the Batman crew. He has a bat cape, even though he doesn't have a grapple or anything like that. So he walked off the edge of the building, right down here, to save Bullock. That would have been a very cinematic moment, just gliding down in front of him to take out this thug. He has sneak attack, so no efforts were allowed to be used. 6 damage means a KO'd thug. Now he landed on that side of him as opposed to the other side, because he also has Master of Stealth, so you have to be within 6 to see him, which means this gun guy can't take a shot, unless he shoots into the night, of course, which he probably wouldn't want to do. And he can't move and shoot because he doesn't have Audacity. So that thug, very unconscious, and for a quick 1 point, scored a cheeky They Must Know Pain. So the Black Mask thug that's FaceTiming with his mother was their first activation. He's a handyman as previously stated, so he has a free manipulate on top of the free manipulate from being close to Black Mask. So he used it to move the event marker 4 inches. He then did a move action for his actual turn, and then used the free inspire manipulate to move it again. It is over here. It is within deployment zone, which means that the Pinched Mobster scores for 3. It's really good. During his turn as well, you might notice he's taken 1 blood damage. That's to get a bad card out of hand. The other Black Mask card was in hand. Place 1 blood marker on the active friendly model. It gains 2 attack markers. So the next time he physically attacks, assuming he gets the chance, he'll impress his mother by having 2 extra dice thrown in there. The JCPD detective was next up for the Batman crew, and as you can see, he ended up on the left of your screen. But he started down here, within 8 of the fully illuminated Black Mask thug, so he shot what would normally be the remainder of his ammo. It's been knocked a little bit. The remainder of his ammo, although he did have an extra magazine, so he can shoot 1 more time. He shot at him, every single hit got through, so that's 4 blood, 4 stun from his 1 blood, 1 stun gun. So unfortunately, this thug is dead. The FaceTiming thug. His mother got to watch him die. And he didn't even score any objective cards off of that. And then afterwards, he moved over here. The Fixer activated with Audacity. She ran 10 inches round the corner into base to base with Merkel. Now she has a poison innervating steel, as in like the steel roll syringe, but she also has a bone saw which does blood stun. She opted to use that just to try for murder. Merkel did not effort at all. She went full 3 effort. Now her attack roll unfortunately was abysmal, so only 2 hits got through for 2 blood, 2 stun, and Merkel is 5-5, so he is alive, but he doesn't have Audacity and he can't shoot his shotgun in point blank, so that's a little rough. So Merkel activated and decided to be a hero. He hopped over the car and, using the manipulate from Gordon being there, revealed the enemy suspect marker that had been there to score a comb through everything for 2 points, going down a hero in theory, but unfortunately counterplay from Black Mask's crew, the program. When an enemy model, I can't tell, here we are. When an enemy model reveals the suspect marker, mark it in some way. If it's removed as a casualty, whenever, not even this round, score the card. So unfortunately there's now a price on Merkel's head worth 2 victory points. So Black Mask activated because he wanted the price on Merkel's head. He unloaded his double blood guns, did a casual 8 damage. The prophecy once again comes true. Merkel died, and that scored the program for 2. But Black Mask wasn't done. He had a really effective turn there. So then he just did a movement action to get a bit further away from where Batman's hanging out to here, and then as a special action he used the mob roll to give the Fixer a 4-inch move, followed by a close combat attack. So she moved into base to base with Gordon and attacked him with her bone saw. Now, because he hasn't activated yet this round, he gets +1 to defense rolls, but unfortunately for him, the only die to get through was the strength die with a crit. So 1 blood, 1 stun, but her bone saw has bleed 3, so it did 3 bonus blood because of the crit, which is really, really nasty considering it was a free attack. Oh, sorry, in fact, we're going to have to retcon that, and she is going to be back over here where she was next to Merkel. She can't be affected by the mob rule because she doesn't have the mobster rule. All the rest of the Black Mask thugs do, but she's like the special interrogator. Thought she had it as well, but she actually doesn't, so Gordon is fine. So Gordon activated and wanting to get out of the portion of the table that is utterly under Black Mask's control. He shot his pistol before moving though, losing a die to cover. He got through on the thug for 2 hits, for 2 blood, 2 stun. He then moved and used his special action to coordinate with the detective. Now this is where things become a little confusing, because coordinate just says, pick a cop within range, they can do an action. So he did a shooting action, but he already did a shooting action during his turn. It doesn't say a free action, but it also doesn't specify an action they haven't done yet. So we're playing it that it's possible that Gordon can say, hey, shoot more ammo. And that might be wrong. The rule needs to be clarified. So anyway, the detective shot his bonus ammo from the magazine he brought into the thug. 3 hits for 3 blood, 3 stun, more than enough to remove this thug from the game. Didn't score any cards on it either way, so hopefully it won't matter if that is wrong. But yeah, it's a little bit nebulous. So before we cover Black Mask's next activation, we've got to retcon a little bit. Forgot when Merkel died to play Spring Cleaning. So when an enemy model is removed as a casualty, the opponent places 2 suspect markers, friendly suspect markers within 4, ignoring the minimum distance. And then if they're both removed, this card will score. So they were placed there and there, just to correct that. Also, forgot that Pinched Mobster doesn't need the person who gets hit to live. So when that mobster died just then from the detective, another Pinched Mobster was played. There's the event marker. If it gets moved into deployment, it will score. So with that, we can actually move on to the next proper activation with, let's see, No Ammo guy can go. He can go. Fright has Audacity, and then the henchman next to her as well. So of that bunch, it was the thug next to Fright. Moved up 10 inches, just going over here to start working on that event marker and suspect markers next turn. Didn't want to place anything like that, so just done where he is. So second last activation for Batman's crew, Bullock moved up to the far side of the unconscious thug, arrested him with his special action to score a get them off the streets for 3, and then he shot his pistol down to 1 because he was moving and shooting, and rolled a 1, so it did not get through for any damage. So the thug with the gun that's been watching Batman and Bullock work decided it's not worth it. He could have shot Bullock and not moved, but there's no value in Bullock dying currently. So instead he fled 10 inches up the street. For turn 3 he can help get quite a few points. Like there's, 5 points on the board just for doing stuff over here next turn, so it seemed like the best bet. Already at the last activation for the Batman crew in turn 2, it was the cop with the radio. He moved over here and used the radio for Manipulate to put down a marker, and of course it is a snitch. And with just Fright and the thug that has no ammo left to go, I don't think... Well, Fright could technically come out there, but that's still not within 6, so yeah, the snitch is not going to get caught. So we can cover the last 2 activations for Black Mask again. Fright, she's holding the loot, she's happy. She's got lots of movement. She isn't going to be able to do much this match, but she just moved over here for cover to help out holding this central area next turn. The henchman that was up there, he had a free inspired Manipulate. He moves 10. He shot over here to the far side of the event marker and manipulated the suspect marker that was there. So that's one of the 2 removed for Spring Cleaning. And then also, dropped the card almost, in him revealing that suspect marker, Paying Tribute was played on him. Forgot to mention the other one is out of play now because the model was arrested, so they literally can't score. But if he puts a suspect marker within 4 of Black Mask, he will score Paying Tribute. And with that, we're into cleanup. So then about round 2, despite having some casualties of their own finally, Black Mask's crew still very comfortably holding the map down, forcing the cops back and whittling them off one by one. Objective card wise, there's no phase 4s for each side again. The Pain and Money runs out at the end of the round, so that's discarded. The Pinched Mobster, the Paying Tribute, the Spring Cleaning, Viable Commodities all stay in play, but none of them score. And then if we come over here again, the Unveiling the Truth on Gordon stays in play, even though it's got no chance of scoring. And the Snitch does score. So with that, we can go into Battle Round 3. So we're at the top of the penultimate battle round, and you can see who has Audacity. Every cop does except the one with the radio, because he has a radio, so doesn't really need to. There's that few of them left. The sniper on the roof did not wake up, so he's earning that paycheck. Thanks to having so few at the top of the turn, the Batman crew will be taking first activation again. They're also playing a phase 1 card. They're playing their Die Hard, and it is being played on Bullock. So now Bullock is worth 2 points. A phase 2 card for Organised Crime, who you can see who has Audacity for them. They're all around the middle there. They're playing the first Recovering the Juice. They finally drew one. Friendly model has to reveal a suspect marker and still be alive at the end of a turn. That is being played on the Fixer. So for the Batman crew, Battle Round 3 got started with a retreat. Gordon activated. He fled back here to the sewer grating, and then he used coordination to give the detective a free move to move him into the same place. Didn't score any cards. Just wanted to get them away from the centre, with certain death awaits them on the off chance there's any kind of bounty cards or whatever they're called, the spring cleaning or anything that can trigger off them dying or killing. He's just pulling them back to try and stay ahead in the points game at this point. So the thug with the assault rifle and no ammo activated. He backed up, he was within Inspire range, he put down a suspect marker, and that triggered the secondary, or rather the scoring conditions, because he'd already previously revealed a suspect marker. So that is Paying Tribute. And that's another 100 black market money that hasn't really found a use so far, because they're not scoring as many cards, but they're very easily taking board control. Very much a holding pattern activation for Batman's crew next. The detective activated, manipulated the sewer, and popped out down here. Didn't do anything else. The Fixer moved over here where there was a suspect marker, revealed it, and that was the 2 required for Spring Cleaning to score for 2 victory points, because that's the 2 that had been placed by the card gone. The first one disappeared last turn, and that's part of the criteria for Recovering the Juice. So as long as she survives the turn, which I'm pretty sure is a guarantee at this point, that'll be another 3 in the bag, so she might have just secured 5 victory points. The GCPD cop with the radio was next activated. However, upon that Fixer revealing a suspect marker, Comb Through Everything was played as a resource. When an opponent reveals one of your suspect markers, place one suspect marker for free in contact with a model, but that model, the friendly model, can't be the closest one to the enemy that revealed it. So Bullock now has a suspect marker because Gordon is closest to him. Anyway, the guy with the torch has just been sauntering down here the entire game, and that's exactly what he did. He started there, he wandered down there, hoping that maybe by the time the last turn rolls around, the final snitch gets drawn. So the Black Mask thug with the pistol activated, and he finally got a chance to use it before he moved to where I just showed him. He also, as a special action, because Added has to use Discharge, so he has to use 1 extra ammo, but for every hit he does 1 extra blood, essentially turning his blood stun magnum or whatever it is into double blood. He shot at the GCPD detective, and he did 8 blood, 4 stun, making him very dead and triggering another Spring Cleaning. So 2 suspect markers friendly to the GCPD detective get put down. If they both get removed, this will score, and that does carry over to the next round as well. It doesn't have to be this round, but that is another man down for the cops. He then moved, and he did start his activation within 8 of Black Mask's large base, so he used his free manipulate to move the Pinched Mobster icon into base to base. With this thug, they're going to start like daisy chaining it. Second last activation for the Batman crew was Bullock, and he just shifted up ever so slightly to the corner here, prepping for the final turn because there wasn't really anything he can do this one. The thug that had been next to Black Mask used Manipulate for free from him to move the event marker that was next to him 4 inches to here, or maybe not quite 4 inches, so that Black Mask can reach it, and then he moved down here to head towards Bullock and Batman for next turn. A pass was used by the Batman crew, so Black Mask activated, he moved, he went next to the event marker, he moved it 4 inches, it's well into their deployment now, and that scores the second for them Pinched Mobster for another massive 3 victory points. So Batman activated, and although he doesn't have a backclaw, he is quick, he is 12-inch movement. He shot over here, and then he chucked batarangs at the thug. He actually did better than expected, all 3 hits for 6 stun, so he is unconscious, and He just wanted to do any damage to score for a quick 1 point. They won't see me coming, because you couldn't see him at the start of his activation. So Fright, with her 12 inches of movement, was last to activate for the turn. Got a lot quicker now that everyone's unconscious or dead. She went after Batman, but she couldn't get within 6 to see him, so she just stopped next to the unconscious henchman there. And that does take us to the cleanup and recovery for the round. So at the end of battle round 3, there is no phase 4 cards being played by either side, so we can just go straight into the ones in play. For the organised crime crew, the spring cleaning and valuable commodities stay in play. Those are the 2 suspect markers that need to be removed for spring cleaning. Fright is holding on to the loot. But recovering the juice, because of the fixer still being on the table, scored for a massive 3. And for the Batman crew, Unveiling the Truth stays in play because Gordon is in play. It ain't going to score though. And Die Hard scores for 2 because Bullock is utterly fine. Dawn of the final day, it is the top of battle round 4. Every surviving person in the Batman crew has Audacity because there's only 4 of them. And of the... how many people in the Black Mask crew are still standing? I believe it's also 4. Oh no. He's still standing, and that shouldn't be there because it's the start of a new turn. So there's one person who's conscious in the Black Mask crew that doesn't have Audacity, but the sniper and the other thug did not wake up. So that means the sniper didn't get any game at all. We'll see him again in the future, I'm sure. He is effective if he gets a chance to fire. There's one phase 2 card being played. It is another Recovering the Juice, and it's being played on the fixer again because she's got a juicy suspect marker right next to her, so why not? And it is the Batman crew getting first activation unless they pass. So Bullock got the final round started. He swung around the corner and had just enough to get into base with unconscious thug there. He arrested him and got another off the streets scored. Sorry, get them off the streets for 3. I think he has no ammo left, so he didn't fire, but honestly couldn't quite remember if he'd shot twice or 3 times. It's kind of like that Dirty Harry moment, except it's just bad for him if we're wrong. Fright moved in for the Black Mask crew down here. She revealed one of the 2 suspect markers required for spring cleaning, then shot her blood stun gun into Batman. He doesn't have acrobat or anything like that. 1 shot got through the 2 she had because she moved and shot for 1 blood, 1 stun. So Batman activated as a little bit of a last minute Hail Mary. He dashed forwards, he has 12 inches as previously said, into base with Black Mask. He has sneak attack, so no efforts on Black Mask's part allowed. He went full in, he went 3 efforts, but Black Mask managed to block all the attacks getting through. This Batman is defense 5, but he's only attack 4, and this Black Mask is defense 4, so even though he couldn't pass off anything with Protect Me, he did not need to. Black Mask decided to ignore the bat, walked down here, revealed the other suspect marker, and that scored spring cleaning for 2. Bit of a burner activation for the Batman crew. There's nothing this guy can do to score, so he's activating and unactivating. The fixer activated, moved over here, revealed the suspect marker, which covers half the criteria for recovering the juice. If she lives till the end of the turn, it will score. So last activation of the game for the Batman crew, Gordon moved up, shot the last of his ammo I believe. Only 1 die, and it just needed to get a hit on the fixer, and it did. It would do 1 blood, 1 stun. He converted it all to stun with non-lethal ammo to score the card for 2. Doesn't take out the fixer, so recovering the juice is definitely going to score. She had 1 willpower remaining, but at least he scored some points back on it. So with the Batman crew done, there's nothing else the organised crime crew can actually do to score anything. So we are just going to call it there before we go into the final scores though. Recovering the juice scores because the fixer lived, and so does valuable commodities because Fright has held on to them since the first turn. So I'm very interested to see who's actually taken this. Alright, it is time to see. So the Batman crew, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, comfortable, 24. The other Unveiling the Truth obviously didn't score at the end of the game. I can't remember if I said that. So 22 plays 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh, they've done it. 23, 25, 27. I'm actually, well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised the organised crime crew won based on how much board control they had, and they were just obliterating cops left and right. But the organised crew objective deck is not that great, and the Batman crew deck is, although they drew some of the better cards a bit later in the match. I think there was still one snitch left to draw as well. But yeah, 22 plays, what was it, 27, 26, 27? Comfortable win there for Black Mask's first outing on the table. Flass didn't get to do much, Gordon did, and I really like Year 1 Batman. He's got easily identifiable positives and negatives. He didn't do too much here, popping him down here, and then Black Mask's crew kind of just avoiding him was rough, because even though he's 12-inch movement, you can't just charge up the street, because he'll just get shot off the street because he's not an acrobat, even with Master of Stealth. So, yeah, he did okay, the cops not so much, but Black Mask's crew, comfortable first showing with a deck that's pretty hard to score with. They did well. I guess it helps that they had a swarm. I think that seems to work best for them. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I sincerely hope you enjoyed. Please do show your support, and hopefully see you in the future for more. Until then, ta-ta for now.